Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. If at any point during the chat you have any questions that you'd like to ask of the group, just go ahead and put them in the chat. I'll jot them down. And if we have time, I'll try and get to those towards the end. But I'll just go ahead and introduce myself real quick because we do have some guests here. My name is Connor Dizor, and I am the Coordinating Officer for Presidential Relations for the Southwest Affiliate. I've been in my position since January and just got reelected this past no frills. So I'll be continuing in my position again for this upcoming year. I'm very excited. And this is the first installment of a type of presidential chat that I'll be having called Coffee with the COPR. And essentially what it is it's just an informal roundtable type discussion that we're going to have once a month. And we're going to have just different topics for each chat. So this chat, the topic was requested by one of our presidents to have it be on exec board trainings and retreats because she's going to be planning her retreat coming up really soon. And I think that's pretty common across the board. A lot of RHAs tend to have some sort of exec board training or bonding retreat type experience before the year begins. So I think that this will definitely be really helpful for all the presidents out there trying to plan those things to get some new ideas from other presidents. And that's one of the great things about the region is that we have the opportunity to talk to each other and get to share our experiences and help each other out. So we're going to start with roll call. And this chat's roll call question, I know that it can be one that you like or can go really long with, especially if you're really passionate about icebreakers. But since we're doing a exec board retreat training type topic here, what is a fun icebreaker that you like to do? That is the question. Just something real short and simple. I'll say no more than like 30 seconds to just kind of describe what icebreaker you like to do. And you can go ahead and put an X in the chat and I'll call on you. If you're from SWCR, if you're one of my presidents and you aren't able to type into the chat, put an X in the GroupMe and I'll call you from there. If you're not one of the SWCR presidents in our GroupMe and you still can't type into the chat, wait until the end of roll call. And if whenever I called to ask if there's anyone present that I didn't call, that's whenever you can speak up for the roll call then. Okay, so put your X's in the chat and I'll start calling on people. Okay, Stephen F. Austin.
So something that we do is we just go around our table and you have to ask questions about RHA or NRHH, but you can't say anything other than a question, and it can only pertain to RHA and NRHH. So it's like a game where whoever doesn't ask a question in time or a question about RHA or NRHH gets out of the game. Very simple.
Nice. All right. University of Houston.
So it's a group activity. You split everyone up into groups, and each group comes up with a movement. And by the end of it, you want everyone to be doing the same movement, so they can either decide to stick with their own movement or pick another group's movement.
Okay. And if you're from another region, if you could also put your university and what region you're from, I'd greatly appreciate that. Brandon Jansen, what's your school and your region?
Hi, I'm from Kansas State, in the Mucker region, Midwest. Can you hear me? Because
it's kind of coming in and out.
Okay. Let me just type my response then.
Okay, that'll be fine.
Is that okay?
Yeah, definitely. All right, moving on, Centenary.
One of my favorite icebreakers to do is where everyone gets like 3 pieces of paper and they'll write down like an anonymous fact about themselves, and then you wad it up and you put it in a ball and or in the center in a pile, and someone will pick it up and read it, and then everyone has to guess whose fact it was. So it's a fun way to get to know people that you're working with in a close circle.
That's cool. And I'm writing all this down in the agenda that I sent out. I can resend it out to people who don't have it, so that way you have this whole list of icebreakers to go back to reference. Okay. Texas A&M.
All right, so howdy y'all. One of the things that we do is, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. So one of the things we do is called I'm an Aggie. It's kind of an activity, but we also like to use it as an icebreaker. What you do is you basically say random stuff, like each person in the circle say, I'm an Aggie and my favorite color is blue, so everyone comes to the center. So it's kind of, y'all probably heard it before, it's a different thing, but that's what we like to use a lot because it gets everyone involved.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, so I got a direct message from Cassie. If you're part of your regional board of directors and you're here, you can also put an X in the chat and introduce yourself as well. So Cassie, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Oh, okay. Jeez, I'm getting put right on the spot here. Hi, everybody. My name is Cassie Balzerini. I'm the regional director for NEACR. My favorite icebreaker. Am I supposed to do that? Favorite icebreaker. Oh my gosh, there's just so many good icebreakers in the world. It's really hard to just pick one. My OLs just taught me this one. It's called Bop Bop Bitty Bop Bop, and I can't explain all the rules right now, but it's like an action and movement game, and those are my favorite kinds of icebreakers because it wakes everybody up and gets you excited. So I'd say that.
I'm going to say if you want to know how to play, I'll put your email in there, and then if people want to email you, they can.
Yeah, I'll make a little video demonstration with my OLs. I really will. It'll be really entertaining.
That's awesome. Okay. Moving on. Tara, I know you're one of my presidents. What university are you from? Tara Steins? Tara, can you hear me? Okay. I'll just mark her down as being here and we'll move on. Baylor.
Okay, hopefully Zoom doesn't cut me off again. One of the icebreakers we like to do is we have people stand in a circle and we'll give them an object like a ball or something to toss to someone and they have to say. And so the goal is to do it as best as you can, keep adding more and more objects to make it fast-paced and kind of fun.
Cool. And if you want, whenever I send out the agenda, if you want to go to your icebreaker that you mentioned and add more information or detail, totally feel free to. West Texas.
So I'm going to go with that human knot icebreaker where you have everyone stand around in a circle and then everyone puts their hands in the center and crosses them and then you guys all have to get untangled. That was really fun.
Always a fun one to do. Whenever I went to the Philippines back in May, the kids that we were with knew how to do that one and we played it with them. So it's really cool how halfway across the world they still do human knot. University of Iowa.
Hi. So one of my favorite ones to do is, because it involves candy, is getting the M&Ms and having each color represent a different question of like, who's your biggest role model or something like that, and then having each person draw like 2 or 3 and then going around and answering those questions.
Nice. Okay. So the 80 NRHH first will occur.
Hi everyone, my name is Lila Machado and I'm the 80 NRHH for Occur. My favorite icebreaker would have to be 2 truths and a lie.
Awesome. And Lila, since you offered to me in the chat to take minutes, could you?
Yeah, just share the document with me.
Will do.
Awesome.
Next person is McCurr Technology.
Hey everybody, my name is James Baum and I'm the Coordinating Officer of Technology and Resources for the McCurr region. And my favorite icebreaker is more of a name game really, but after you get to know each other a little bit, you have 2 teams on separate sides of the room and a blanket in the middle, and you send up representatives, whether it's 1 to 5 people, and you drop the blanket, and whichever team can guess the names of all the other representatives from the other team first gets to take them onto their team, and you go until everyone's on one side of the room.
That's really cool. All right. McCurr Programming.
Hi everyone, my name is Holly. I'm the McCurr CEO for Programming and Member Development. My personal favorite is I am a huge advocate for human bingo. I think it's super fun and rewarding because there's normally rewards at the end of it.
Nice. So Brandon from Kansas State's icebreaker is posted in the chat, but for those of you who can't see it, it says write facts about yourselves on pieces of paper and put them in a box, and we take turns drawing one and guess who that fact is. And Tara, you say your audio is not working. If you could post your icebreaker in the chat as well, I'll read it out. And then Mary Olmstead from, I can't see what university that is. What university are you from?
Hi, everyone. I'm from UConn, University of Connecticut. And my favorite icebreaker is with my e-board. We stand in a circle, and then you try to guess a fact next to the person to your right that you connect with. So it's like, I like dogs, so the person to your right likes them. You link arms with them until every one of the circles linked together.
Oh, cool. All right. Zach Barfield. I can't think what your position is.
So I'm stepping in for Caitlin and Suni Geneseo in the Neokur region.
Cool.
One of our icebreakers we do is we split the group into evenly sized amounts of people, maybe 4 people to a group, and then we ask them what is one item they'd bring to an island if they were going to be stuck there for the rest of their life. But then we switch it up, and you have to create a plan to get off the island using all of the items in your group. And then we come back together and discuss how people got off the island using what items they had.
Cool. Okay. Becca, the SEMO.
Hey guys, I'm SEMO, Southeast
Yeah.
Missouri State University.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's a long one. My favorite icebreaker, I forgot the name of it, but it's kind of the opposite of never have I ever. Basically, the whole group that you're in, you stand in a big circle. A lot of times we like leave one of our shoes in our place, kind of like to keep a place marker. And someone has to go stand in the middle and they say something they have done. And if anyone else in the circle has done it too, they have to run to find a different space. And then if no one has done what you've done, it's kind of like snaps for that person because they're pretty unique.
That's really cool. Kaisha.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kaisha Isidore. I am currently the SPLCUR director, and I'm hosted at Louisiana State University, and my favorite icebreaker is pterodactyl.
Nice. And then the McCurr advisor.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jen Kastier. I'm the McCurr Regional Advisor, and I'm hosted at North Dakota State University, and pterodactyl's a good one. I'm just going to say the one where you would have like a pipe cleaner, and you have to make the pipe cleaner in the shape of your lifeline, and so you share kind of some of those vulnerable moments or exciting moments or whatever in your life with your team. I yield.
Nice. And that is all the people in the chat. So who is here that I have not called yet? Alicia, did we hear from you yet?
Hi, everybody. I am the Texas State University RHA president, and I'm also the training officer for the Regional Business Conference.
And do you have an icebreaker to share? Did we already get one from you?
No, I didn't. My favorite two.
Okay. Beth from UCO, did we hear from you? Okay. What is your favorite icebreaker? Is your audio not working? Oh, okay. Well, we have that you're here, and that's the important part. All right. Kevin Grady from Drake University. Kevin? All right. And then I think that's everyone else. Okay, then moving on. I have a couple prepared questions to ask. The icebreakers was one of the big ones because I'm a firm believer in icebreakers. It's a great way to get to know the people that you're going to be working with and interacting with. And when done correctly, and whenever you find that icebreaker that really fits your team, it can really open up your team and make the training or the retreat run a lot better. So take those icebreakers to heart, look them over. If you heard an icebreaker that you've never heard of before, try it out and see how it goes. But my first little kind of discussion question to just kind of open up with is, what is the difference, or what do you think is the difference between a training and a retreat? And I guess also kind of which one do you prefer doing? Do you prefer a retreat setup, or do you prefer more of a training setup? And you can put X's in the chat if to just kind of give your thoughts and opinions on that. SFA.
I would say a training is more of setting goals and expectations for the upcoming semester or year, and a retreat would be more of a bonding experience. I think that you should have both. Training's always good for the beginning of the semester to set those goals and expectations and learn your job descriptions and what's going to be set for the year. But then also having that bonding moment. Now you can merge the two, which is what we do, but yeah, I think having both would be really good.
Cool. Texas A&M Commerce.
I think the retreat approach is, to me, I feel like it's a more of a neutral setting. So I would probably use more of that. But as far as just doing trainings, you know, they have to be done. And I think the trainings are more informative, trying to get, you know, the works, the foundation done. So I would do a little bit of both. But I really like the retreat approach.
UConn.
We have always had trainings at UConn, with obviously learning everyone's positions. We have one in the fall, before fall semester, and spring semester, but we've never done a retreat before. But I think that's something that would benefit our e-board a lot from what the other two have already said, because my question I actually wrote in the chat was how to keep the group bonded after training. And I feel like a retreat would definitely help with that, because it's like a deeper bonding time. We're training, we eat together all the time, but that's about it. Like the time we can talk to each other, other than like walking between meetings. So can't wait to learn more about what every other group does for retreats, because maybe that's something I'll bring to my advisors and try to do. But we do lots of trainings at UConn.
Cool. And I think with that, there is definitely a difference between training and retreats. You can have aspects of both kind of intertwined. So it's like, in order to have retreats, you don't have to give up your trainings. You can do both independently. You can do trainings that have a retreat feel to them. You can do retreats that have a training component to them. So you can definitely mold it to your university and how y'all typically operate. Becca from SEMO.
I think like what everyone has really said, training to me would be more of like a, here's what you do, why you do it, kind of pretty clear cut. And a retreat is more like team building and bonding, getting to know each other, and also meshing with like what your responsibilities are. Well, what we usually do, we just finished up a chat like about an hour before this one started about our retreat. We usually mesh it. So we try to have a lot of, this time we're going away from our campus. So we're going to like some campsite. So it's more of a retreat for the weekend, but we always have a lot of training components. So we talk about setting goals for organization and our positions and a lot of other business stuff, but we always mesh it with a lot of team builders too.
Wonderful. Baylor.
So I know recently our e-board hasn't really done retreats. We do a lot more trainings. Like when all the new e-board officers at the end of the semester, we had a training session. It's like, this is your position, yada, yada, yada. I know as far as bonding, instead of doing retreats, we'll do like things just as a group. Like they have what's called the escape room here in Waco, and it's like, you're in a room and you need to figure out how to get out within a certain amount of time. So we'll do things like that as far as bonding goes. But I know we do a lot more trainings than retreats. We're trying to maybe do a retreat soon, but that's still in the works.
Wonderful. And I think on that note, in general, I think whenever I'm looking at planning a training or a retreat or something like that, I'm typically with most things kind of like a middle of the road is best type of person, or like the little meme, why can't we have both? Like it doesn't have to just be a training. It doesn't have to just be a retreat. Like why can't we have both? So if like the word retreat sounds too big, like your university, if you're planning a retreat, expects you to like go off campus to like some, wooded area and bond together and sing around the campfire and like learn each other's deepest secrets. That doesn't have to be your retreat. That doesn't have to be that experience for you. You can have a training on campus that's like one day long and still bond as a team and get to know each other really well and have a good experience. There's another question that's going to come later on about time length and like what's the appropriate time length for a training or a retreat. So we'll talk more about that. But yeah, okay. So Texas A&M.
Okay, so to follow up with Connor's question, we actually at A&M we had this retreat. We call it a retreat, but it was more of a training session. It was like 80% training and 20% actually bonding because we've kind of already known each other beforehand. But actually, in the fall, every year we do a 3-day retreat with all the community council presidents and our vice presidents and whoever else they can bring. We actually go away from A&M and we get to know, and that's more focused on the actual bonding aspect because we have got 27 different halls and that's like a bunch of people. So that's like 54 amount of students. So we try to get them to get to know each other and start to develop their relationships so they can start planning stuff across the hall and get more involved with each other. And then we also incorporate how to actually lead and actually development. So it's actually leadership and development is the majority of what that retreat is, less training though.
That's awesome. And in my experience dealing with different presidents from around the region, I have found that the universities that do more of a structured retreat, where if they can get away from campus, they do, but they have more of a longer planned out, developed retreat experience where all of the members of the organization can come together and bond. They typically end up throughout the year having more dedicated members that actually show up to events and to meetings, members who program better in their halls, and like Brian mentioned, do cross-hall programming and work with each other a little better. So if it's something that you're thinking, trainings are good. Trainings are definitely useful. But I think if you're ready to take your organization to the next level and have that deeper commitment from your members, more of a retreat experience might be what you're looking for. So just something to think about if you think that like your organization is kind of just stalemated and you're not going anywhere, adding a retreat to your calendar might actually kind of spice that up and change your attitudes of your memberships a bit more. So moving to the next question. Well, my next question that I had written down was why have a training or why have a retreat? And I think that we've pretty much hit on that. It's definitely more helpful to have these things than not. But yeah. And I think that this question actually answers that question a little better, or the answers to this question would answer that question better, is what sorts of goals when planning a training or a retreat do you set for that training or for that retreat? So for instance, if you're planning an exec board training, what sorts of goals do you want to accomplish at that training? What sorts of things are going to be on your itinerary to get accomplished? You can just put an X in the chat. Texas A&M.
I think it ultimately just depends on what you see. You said the exec board. So more of like when I'm starting to plan for the exec board, we talk about like what's our mission for the upcoming year? What's our goal? Like what are we trying to accomplish for all the students across campus? What are we trying to bring to the table for the 9,500 students? And what are we trying to get out of the organization as a whole? But if you're looking to more of like what you can do for you have to cater to the audience. So if it's the hall councils or the community councils is what we call them, it depends on like, you're trying to show them how to lead the organization, how to develop themselves into actually doing it. So it's two different ways you could actually approach it. So.
Okay, thank you for that. University of Houston.
Okay, so at the University of Houston, I don't know if this is something that they do at other schools, but our exec board lives on campus during the summer. So we have a lot of time to plan for the year during the summer. We have regular meetings during the summer, but at the training itself, it's important, I think, that everyone gets really acquainted with what their position is. So we'll oftentimes bring back the previous exec board to kind of walk through what their position entailed, have one-on-ones with the person who is taking over their position, so that they kind of know what the scope of their position is and how it can grow.
All right, Centenary.
So some of my goals for like training is to like date set for the upcoming semester. So any like big things that we have planned, putting a date to it, so that way we don't get over programmed by like our student government and our Centenary Activities Board. So that way we don't like double program. We have that date set already. And then also making sure that everyone making sure that everyone that's new to their position knows what they're supposed to do, and going over like expectations of what we have for everyone else's positions, are some of like my goals that I have like for my training.
Wonderful. Seema.
I actually have our exec retreat schedule in front of me right now, just because my advisor just emailed it out earlier today. Some stuff that we go over like a lot of the same things that have already been mentioned. So like expectations for positions for our organization as a whole, like deadline setting for dates, going over stuff, a lot of things for our like recruitment for the beginning of the year. But we also really, I think it's more of our co-advisors for this year. They're pretty like set on helping us to develop our leadership styles first and foremost, and how to work together. So we always do true colors, that test, and then we go over some activities about how to work together, because we typically have one of, or at least two of every color. So that can get pretty interesting during the year. And then a lot of the other business things, like what we want our organization to be about for the most part for the entire year. So our RHA identity, so to speak. And then how to work with the other organizations that we kind of go back and forth with throughout the year.
So you probably just like mentioned the buzzword that makes me like giddy on the inside, and that's like assessments and leadership quizzes and assessments and those sorts of things. I absolutely love them. True Colors, Strengths Quest, all those sorts of things. And I definitely think that they will add to your training or your retreat. It's a way for individuals to get to grow and develop their leadership style more as they learn more about themselves. But also it's a way for your exec board or your organization to come together and grow together as well. Because not only am I learning about my leadership style, but I'm learning about your leadership style and your leadership style. And I know how to better work with you as a leader. So if anyone needs any ideas or resources for leadership assessments, definitely hit me up. I have a few that I typically use as my go-tos, but I can also research some more for you. Definitely hit me up about those if you're interested. Okay. Let's see the next one. Yeah. Texas A&M Commerce.
I think what I would do is more or less try to get my exec board to buy into what we're trying to do as a cohesive unit. You know, that's the groundwork, is getting them to buy into it, because you can tell anybody that, hey, this is the organization and we're going to do a lot of great things, but when you buy into it and they actually buy what you're selling, like, it makes everything work so much easier. And they do it because they want to, and not because you're forcing them to, or because it's an obligation.
Definitely. A super important part to have. Next is, I've lost my place. Okay, Yukon.
Well, we do a lot of the same things everyone's been saying, expectations, and making sure everyone knows their roles, because we always have new people on the e-board. It's very rare that we have like the same exact people, obviously, because people graduate. But something new that I really want to push this year that we're doing is we're going to be involved in some of the RA training, actually. RAs have a really big conference day, and that there's a lot of different stuff that people can choose from, and we're going to go to that. We're going to go stuff to learn how to problem solve better with things that happen on campus, because we want to be able to put out statements if anything happens on campus that we feel like can connect to everyone on campus, the residents, and also that if we want to have open forums, we know how to have those correctly, because we have some people on the e-board who are like, we want to have these open forums because something just happened on campus, but we don't want it to get too out of hand where we don't know how to handle it. So we think going to some of this RA training can really benefit our e-board.
Wonderful. Okay. Katie Lamberty.
Hi. So we also do the like StrengthsFinder assessments, and at first when I first took it, I was like, this isn't me, and I've realized as I progressed, like they're great. And we also during our training have a lot of people like of our campus partners or like people that we'll work with continually on campus come and meet with us and just meet with our e-board. Like the director of housing will come in and kind of speak with us to say like, here's how you can contact me, and here's like our role together of what we're doing to help improve student life. So that's one of our big things that we do.
Awesome. And what university are you from?
The University of Iowa.
Cool, thank you. West Texas.
So shout out to Strengths Quest, because we actually just recently adopted that as of last year, and I actually took it for the first time, and that is pretty cool, and that is now part of our training. And one thing that I know whenever I came in initially, for our training, we do a lot of basically what everyone else has already said. And then also something that wasn't covered as well, I thought when I first came in training that I want to cover better this year in training is just who to talk to about different resources on campus, where you need to go, what you need to know about different resources on campus, like, for instance, who you need to talk to about catering, how the system works, who, basically just resources, where to go, who to talk to, because that ends up being a huge thing, as we found out.
I will sing the praises of StrengthsFinder forever. I absolutely love Strengths. If you've never heard of StrengthsFinder, hit me up. I can tell you all about it. I absolutely love using it with my groups. So that's definitely one of those assessments that I really do swear by. Kansas State.
Hello. So probably my biggest goal for training is I do a lot of listening. One of the things Tyler was saying about getting people to buy in, I have a list, and it's growing. It's a page long of goals for next year, but a lot of it is I want to get a lot more buy-in if I sit there and I listen and I say, okay, what goals do you have for your position? And then we have a discussion and I try to develop them into better goals. But if it's just all my goals, that's not really going to help. And I can learn a lot by listening to what other people have to say.
I think that's definitely the key, is when leading your organization, it's pretty much a good bit of the time, I won't say most, but a good bit of the time, it's probably a good idea to just sit back and listen and not actually say and tell and do, but just sit back and listen to what your other exec board members want and need. So that's definitely a good point. All right. So moving on to the next thing. What would be a good time length, in your opinion, for a retreat or for a training? And since we've kind of separated the two, we know that you can have aspects of both, but they are kind of different still. So what would be a good time length for a training or a good time length for a retreat? UConn.
Our training, it might seem a little long, but ours is a week. long. It's like an all-day thing. We have like the whole day scheduled. We get back to school a week before all the students do. And I think this year we getting back a little bit earlier because of the RA training aspect that I mentioned before. But we have everything like really planned to like the hour, and then after dinner is kind of our free time, aka we just do more planning or move to a new office, because I feel like we're moving every year to a new office. But I don't know if that's too long compared to other schools, but we definitely get a lot out of it, so we use every minute that we have. And it's nice getting back to school early and making sure that we're ready for the students to come back. So we use our time very well, I feel like.
And about how many residents do you have on your campus?
We have about 12,000 residents on campus.
Okay, that would explain it.
Yeah, and we always do something for the freshman move-in weekend, which is like the first day the freshmen move in. So we always do like a tie-dyeing event or something. So we have like an event the first, even before school starts. So we always have to make sure that's like all ready to go.
Okay, cool. Simo.
So ours is definitely not a week long. I thought ours was the longest though. We usually try to have it like spread out between 3 days. So this fall semester, we're all coming back. I'm actually moving in August 3rd. So that first weekend, we have it set aside that Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's typically what it is, whether it's on campus or off campus. And we usually try to plan between like, this year it's like 9 a.m. to like 6 p.m. and then like dinner and kind of hang out, like bond, plan some other things after that. But like we have like an hour or so like broken up for almost each topic that we try to talk about. And same as the from UConn who spoke before, we also go to RA training every year just to kind of like get that connection so that they know who our e-board is, and we know like all the faces. So yeah, we usually go to that. Sometimes we also go to our hall director training to also talk to them. So that's what we're all moving back like at the beginning of the month, and like moving is until the end of August just to kind of get ready and prep for that. So that's what we do.
Awesome. And I think that could be one thing that could be like a whole different chat topic is how RHA relates with RAs and that whole thing. That might actually be an interesting chat topic, but definitely going to RA trainings, I mean, it's definitely a great opportunity for you and your exec. It's already planned and trained, so it's not something additional that you'd have to do. So, you know, why not take part of it if you can? I believe the next person is, Baylor.
So I know on our campus, because our RHA is still relatively new and fairly small, we only have a day for training. And for now, that is enough for us to get by. But I know for, like, for example, the Transfer Council on Baylor, their training is 3 days because they're dealing with a lot more students. They've been around longer. So I think it honestly just depends also on what you're trying to accomplish. For RHA, the goal is to prepare for the next semester and get everybody on the same page. So for that, a day is enough for our training. So that's what we have right now, a day.
Wonderful, thank you. All right, University of Houston.
Okay, so like I said earlier, we are here the entire summer. So a lot of our extra trainings come throughout the summer. We have professional development. Some of the professional staff will come in and talk to us about any sort of topics, budgeting time, or whatever the case may be. So our actual training / retreat day is only a day long. It goes from about 8 in the morning to 6 or so at night. And really that's just, like I said, to get people acquainted with their positions, to do a little bit of the planning, to do a lot of the assessments, and we find that that's enough time.
Awesome, thank you. SFA.
So our training is 3 days, and normally it's not super jam-packed, but this year it will be because I'm the only returning executive board member. So I have all brand new little exec board members. So having to train them on every single aspect of our organization puts a lot of things into our training. But for the past few years, it has been 3 days, and we feel like that's pretty good for us. And we have hall directors who come in and do some different trainings on like social media, conflict management, different things like that. So we don't spend a lot of time with our RAs, or we call them community assistants, but we do eat lunch and dinner with them. So having that opportunity to chit chat with them about things like that. But we will have those hall directors come in and talk to us about things that are more on the professional side. And then we do a lot of planning. And then after dinner, we normally just sit in our office and do some goal setting, program planning, recruitment strategies, and different things like that that we do have to work on outside of those little sessions that we have going on.
Awesome. That sounds wonderful. So I have 2 more questions to get through. One of the questions is one that was asked in the chat, and it's basically, I'm going to paraphrase, but, and I know that some of the universities have already kind of touched on it, but what is your general structure of a training or a retreat? Like, what are the general types of things that you like to include in those? And assuming that one of them is leadership building exercises, what sorts of leadership building exercises do you do? And I will invite any of my fellow RBD members from around NCUR to also chime in on this, because I know our director just spent a lot of time planning our RBD training. So she's definitely been through this, and we're about to go into our retreat over the next few days. So if any RBD members have any experiences with this as well, definitely feel free to chime in. Yukon.
Oh, sorry. I was just doing the up arrow to agree with the good luck of being the only returning member.
Oh, I thought that was an X. I don't see any X's yet. Was the question too confusing? Like, do I need to reword what I was trying to get at? Yeah. Okay. So basically, you're planning your exec board training or retreat. What sorts of things do you include in that? So like, what's your structure of your training? And I know that a lot of the universities already kind of hit on that with the last question. But if there's anything new or different, what is the structure of your trainings or your retreats? And also, assuming that leadership building is one of those things, what sorts of leadership building exercises do you usually do in a training? Seema.
So earlier I basically talked about our schedule and how we structure it. We just have like different time frames for the different topics that we choose to talk about. Our advisors actually are the ones who kind of come up with a lot of the structure. We kind of give some ideas. I mean, this year our exec board is basically, we played musical chairs for the position, so we all were in a different position, so we all know each other and we work together. We have one new person, but she was a co-chair for another committee that we had, so we are all pretty much like on the same page with like who we are and what our positions entail. But yeah, so we do a lot of business things, so kind of like the training aspect. But when it comes to like leadership, we do True Colors. We always take that test, and we do different activities our advisors have planned for us to kind of utilize the different aspects, like the strengths and weaknesses of each of our colors, and just our personalities in general. But we also have different team builders spread throughout. Like we have time allotted like for 2 or 3 each day to kind of break up the training session. And our advisors actually have each of us kind of assigned to come up with a team builder. Like they can get the supplies if we need it for those activities, to, I guess, build on those strengths more and to work on different aspects, like I guess communication, utilizing our strengths and weaknesses, kind of understanding those from each other. And those are, spread throughout all the business each day to kind of break up that monotony of talking and like planning and goal setting and all that.
Wonderful, thank you. And yeah, I think a lot of us in the last question kind of touched on your structures of how you organize trainings and retreats. Alicia, Texas State.
So something that we do in our like training is like planning the year, so coming up with like our calendar of events, and then setting goals and expectations like for each other and then for RHA in general. Some things that I'm going to do because like they're all like new e-board members, I'm on the same boat as Connor. So how to plan like a small and large scale event, how to deal with like the on campus, how to answer calls and emails, and then also we also have like a signature set for like our emails, so like how to like have it say like Residents Association President, the office like name, the number and stuff like that. So just like coming up with how you all want to sign.
Okay, you kind of cut off at the end there. After your email structure, though, what was the last thing that you were saying?
About the email, just basically coming up with like a signature that we all want to use. But just for all of us, it'll say like, you know, our name and then our position, Residents Association, our department office, like number and stuff like that. So just having everyone have like a similar signature, but then just switching out with our name.
Awesome. Okay, yeah. And I definitely think that positional email accounts are definitely a good thing. I'm hosted at LSU, and I've been a part of that RHA for the past 3 years. And whenever we made the transition to using positional email accounts instead of just your personal email, it made things run a lot more smoothly for the organization. And it also helped the transition, because if you use Gmail, you keep everything in that Google Drive, and the new person that gets that new email account gets all of the things in that drive. So it definitely, positional email accounts help a lot. If you don't have those, it might be a good idea to look into getting your just positional emails, like setting up a Gmail account or something. Kansas State.
So it's interesting. At K-State, we actually have an annual mini conference. We have everybody come together in one room, all our ARH people and our hall council people, and the professional staff. Some of them will talk about a couple of things, and then we break out into sessions, and there'll be a session for presidents, and then we'll have session for presidents, session for vice presidents, session for programmers, stuff like that. And then we'll have other sessions for like parliamentary procedure, what other things you might want to learn about. And it takes all day, and that's our biggest training event.
Wonderful. Iowa.
So we have for our executive training, we do different, like all day long. Ours is like 3 days or whatever. And then we have 2 days after that we work on micro fridges and delivering those to the halls. So that's perfect team bonding if you ever do that. But what we have, so we kind of break it up, like we'll do kind of a business structure for about like an hour or so, and then do some sort of like team builder or get up and like walk around or, do something like that just to split it up. And then we also do like our hall association training. And when we do those, we have like half the group goes out and does team builders, and then half the group is in like business, and then we switch. So just kind of splitting things up like that and making sure it's not sitting and just having words and presentations thrown at you constantly.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so since we are running out of time, I'm going to have one last question because I thought it was a very good question and very helpful. But I'll take the first 3 people that put X's in the chat for how do you stay bonded after your retreat experience or after a training? How do you keep that same energized feeling alive? And there's the 3 people. Okay. Sima.
So the way we really try to stay together and pretty bonded as an e-board throughout the year is pretty casual. In general, like we try to stay like kind of okay friends for the most part. Like we're not trying to be best friends or anything. But we go on e-board dinners that are paid for by Res Life. Just to give us the chance to really like get away from the office, away from all the business, and just bond together in like a neutral environment, away from like our personal area because we all live on campus. And then we also try to keep the feel of our office very relaxed. So a lot of times we can have like a mini exec board meeting in the office during anyone's office hours just because we keep the door open, have music playing. It's pretty relaxed for the most part. And that's just the way we try to run.
Awesome. University of Houston.
Yeah, so to echo some of the things that Becca said, just like it's important to kind of retouch on those things that you touched on in training, your goals and whatnot, it's also important to revisit bonding. So we have regular dinners with each other. We have our training and retreat at the beginning of each semester. So we have one for summer and one going into the spring. So it's important to just keep talking to each other. And I keep saying we're all here over the summer and we live right next to each other. And then there's no one else here. So we kind of have no choice but to hang out with each other. But it's pretty great.
That's like an ideal situation right there. Just having your whole board live over the summer on campus. So that's really awesome. And lastly, Iowa.
So what we do is we'll have kind of monthly, like ARH we call ours, but bonding nights to where we'll either go out and get ice cream or do a craft or something. One of the ones that was the most beneficial was we painted canvases and also made like calm down jars. So it's like you take a mason jar or anything and put the sparkles in it, and that was one of the best nights we had because it was just so calming and relaxing to kind of take that break and de-stress and focus on that, but you do it together, so that makes it a lot of fun.
Okay, thank you all for your amazing responses and input. I hope that this chat was really beneficial for you all in helping you kind of think of some new ideas for planning your trainings and your retreats coming up. Or if you haven't given any thoughts to planning trainings or retreats, that this has kind of sparked a fire in you to try and add those to your campus. If you have any questions at all from the chat tonight, if you want to try to get in contact with someone from your region, or if you're one of our visiting guests, if you're trying to get in contact with people from other regions, you can definitely go through me. I will do my best to try and get y'all in contact with each other. But thank you all for coming. Special thanks to all of our guests. I have never had so many people come to a chat, so thank you all for coming and participating. McCurr, definitely, I'm feeling the moose love. Not moose love, that's me, McCurr. I'm feeling moo cow love. So thank you all for coming out tonight. I know it's getting pretty late for some of us here. So I'm going to officially adjourn the chat. If you'd like to stay on and still talk with some people, I can definitely keep the chat open for you all to still converse. If you need to talk with me, I'll be on here. Just let me know. Yeah, so everyone else, have a good night.